Welcome back to 10 in the Head, episode 15, I think we're on. I don't know. We're getting to a point where I'm not even going to say the number episode that we're on. Just another new, exciting episode. Exciting today because we got yet another special guest, Carl Dunger, founder of CSDFantasy.com. He's a fantasy football analyst living out in Sweden. We have him on. I'm excited. Good to have you on, Carl.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited about being on this show.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm excited to have you on with us. We're jumping in to our 10 topics for 10 in the Head. And our first topic is we're going to name a tight end who's being ranked outside of the top 10 that has the possibility of finishing in the top 5. And Carl, I'm going to start us out here with my answer saying Coby Fleener. And the reason I like Coby Fleener is he may never have been a huge touchdown target in his career, but he's on a team that has the possibility and the probability of throwing 40 touchdowns this year with Drew Brees back there. He caught 61% of his passes thrown his way last year, and he showed some glimpses of chemistry with Brees. Now, obviously, he wasn't the stud that everyone wanted him to be, but I'm never a big fan of the big signees to a new team on their first year. I'm not loving Alshon Jeffrey this year, Terrell Pryor. When you go to a new team with a lot of expectations, it's very, very hard to actually live up to them. He was a good tight end. He had great streamer numbers. He just wasn't the 1,500-yard, 13-touchdown Rob Gronkowski that everyone wanted him to be when he went to Drew Brees that they're hoping. And even with Drew Brees, Jimmy Graham wasn't a stud in his first year in New Orleans. So for me, I'm expecting Coby Fleener to take a big leap this year and has the possibility of being a top 5 tight end. Carl, who do you got?
The CBS consensus rankings has Hunter Henry as their 11th tight end, so I will have to go with him. Seems a little cheap to go with a 11 top, but hey.
He's outside the top 10.
Yeah, exactly. So in my single game floor rankings, I have him as my 3rd best tight end and 7th in my single game ceiling rankings. I know his sample sizes are a little bit too small since he's a rookie from last year, so second year. But this statistically significant is not that important for tight ends from time to time, so I don't see that as a huge problem. And where he's being ranked right now, it makes a lot of sense for you to draft him.
I love it. Hunter Henry. I actually have a couple notes on Hunter Henry on a couple questions in a little bit, but I do love it, and I'm loving the Chargers this year. I think he has the chance to break out. Let's go to number 2. How do the Bengals running backs rank on the respective team at the end of the year in fantasy football points? Carl, why don't you go ahead and take this one?
Well, this is probably the most difficult question for me of all 10 today. I'm not a guy that focuses too much on rookies, so analyzing Mixon solely based on what others say makes me hesitant to predict too much. But I would say that Mixon leads the group with Hill followed by Bernard. If I knew more about Bernard's health, I could change my mind, but the OTA news are not looking too good for him, so I have to go Mixon, Hill, Bernard.
Right on. You kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I'm also going Mixon, Hill, Bernard, and then I'm going to throw a little sneaker, Cedric Pierman. Just watch out. If Bernard, like you said, can't get healthy, and we don't know anything about his health right now, and it's kind of frustrating me, but if he doesn't come through, Cedric Pierman has played in 16 games for the last 5 years and has the chance to maybe catch a couple balls, maybe run a couple balls. I'm just not putting him out. But it's tough to really look at Joe Mixon and guess what he's going to do. He's coming from Oklahoma, a conference in college that, in my opinion, doesn't have the best defenses. Jeremy Hill, they tried to make their workhorse. In his rookie year, he looked good. He didn't really provide his last 2 years, just a couple big touchdown games to be a little bit fantasy relevant. Believe me, I know. I've been drafting him, waiting. But I don't know if I'll not digress, but I don't know if I'll shy away from Jeremy Hill this year. If Mixon can't be as good as he is, and I never liked the rookies, just as you said, I'm just not a fan of rookies. Watch out for Jeremy Hill to have one more crack at that. So for me, Mixon, Hill, Bernard, Cedric Pierman, but the same as you, Carl. I love the answer. Let's go to number 3 here. Number 3. Should we expect a bounce-back year from Todd Gurley? This was a fun question, I thought. And I'm going to take the reign on this here, saying I do expect a bounce-back season from Todd Gurley. I mean, he went from the 8th ranked running back to the 16th ranked running back. He didn't drop that low, but his ADP was around 1 or 2 last year. So being the 16th ranked running back kind of just hurt a lot of people. But he didn't fall too far. Now, I do expect him to bounce back, and I'll say that he gets back into the top 10, in my opinion. He's got a quarterback who's got some experience, albeit not a lot, but it is 1 year of experience. He's got a new coach who I assume is going to throw a couple different looks in for his offense to really hype his team up, which will keep the defenses on their toes. So I'm going to assume that the volume's still there for Todd Gurley. He gets the yards just based on the attempts. And I'm going to give him a top 10 running back season, which in my opinion will be a bounce back year for Todd Gurley. Carl?
This was the time for you to steal the words out of my mouth. I was going to say that if we assume that a bounce back year is a top 10 finish, I would say yes. But if we say a top 5 finish, no way. There's just too many good running backs ahead of him right now. You have Bell, DJ, Elliott, Murray, Shady, Howard, Gordon. All of them are going to finish ahead of him as I look at it right now. And I think it's safe to say that some rookies are going to get up there too. Then you have Ingram, maybe Adrian Peterson could be there, Marshawn Lynch. We don't know how many touches or whatever he is doing right now. So top 10 finish, yes. Top 5, no way.
Agreed, 100%. I think I got him right now. I'm about to be publishing my July rankings with erroneoussports.com, and I think I have him number 9 and number 10, which is exactly where I see him finishing at the end of the year. Number 10, or within the top 10, yes. In the top 5, no. I guess we'll say that's a bounce back year from Todd Gurley. Same answer. I love it. Carl and I seem to be on the same page. First 3 questions. I am loving that. Let's go to number 4. Here, I'm going to let Carl take the lead. I'll say the question, though. The question is Sammy Watkins being undervalued, overvalued, or neither? Is he being valued right where he should be? Carl, take the lead.
So overall ADP right now, 34, going as wide receiver 17. For me, that is too high, but I'm extremely risk averse in the early rounds. I'm not spending a 3rd round pick on him, but I could see myself spending a 4th round, a late 4th round at least. We know the potential is there, but the risk of him breaking again outweighs it for me. I'm much rather go Demaryius Thomas or Michael Crabtree. So I'm going to have to go with overvalued just a little bit.
Man, we seem to be on the same page today. I love it. I also have him overvalued. And just because I'm not spending a late 3rd round or early 4th round pick on him, I literally have the same thing written down right here, especially with Landry, Adams, Crabtree, Tate, all being drafted after him. All those guys I kind of assume to see better than Watkins. Now, Watkins already lost his 5th-year team option. They decided not to sign him. I've just never been high on Sammy Watkins. I literally just wrote an article on researchfantasy.com saying that Zay Jones will be my come-from-the-middle, out-of-nowhere candidate for fantasy football rookie of the year. And so I love Zay Jones as the wide receiver too. I expect him to see almost more targets than Sammy Watkins. And everything about Sammy Watkins trends downwards. His games started, trend downwards. His targets, his receptions, all trend downwards. Spare me on him, and on the 3rd round, I'll wait till the 6th or 7th round, get Devontae Parker, who has everything trending upwards. Receptions, yards, touchdowns. I love the trends, and I look for trends, and Sammy Watkins does not have a good trend going his way. So
I would much rather have Kenny Stills than Devontae Parker, though. So finally, we disagree on something.
Ooh, a little hot take. Kenny Stills. I find Kenny Stills to be too much of a home run hitter. For me, I want someone who's just going to get the volume. I don't want to draft. Like you said, I'm kind of risk avert. Maybe not even just in the first few rounds, but almost throughout my entire draft. I don't need someone who has huge high upside. Just someone who's going to get the volume. And in my opinion, it's Parker over Stills. Why you like Stills more?
I have them almost at the same volume. I have Parker above him, but it's just the ADP difference. And in PPR, I see Stills catching more targets. When you look at his catch rate and how Tannehill has been throwing the ball, it seems that they will finish similarly in receptions. And with the ADP difference, I just don't want to spend the draft capital on Devontae Parker when I can get Stills that much later on. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know there's a big difference, and I talked about it in my last YouTube from Friday.
I remember watching it, too. I just wanted to see what you had to say. We finally disagree on something, and it was we disagree on something that we digress from a question for. The answer was overvalued Sammy Watkins. Let's go to number 5 here. Which current wide receiver 4 has the best chance to be a I put top 25 receiver, but I can say top 25, top 30 receiver. It's always hard to be a wide receiver for to be a top 30 receiver. But if there's anyone that has a chance, in my opinion, it's down to two guys, and it's Chris Hogan, Jeff Janis. Now, Chris Hogan has great rapport with Tom Brady. However, Brandon Cooks is coming to town, and I assume Brandon Cooks is going to see his fair share of targets, kind of dropping Hogan down. Malcolm Mitchell has the chance to even become a solid wide receiver for New England. Danny Amendola's there. There's a lot of options. I like Hogan, but my answer to which current wide receiver 4 has the best chance of being a top 25, 30 wide receiver, Jeff Janis. He plays behind an injury-riddled Jordy Nelson. He plays on a team that, in my opinion, will throw more than New England. He has Devontae Adams, who had a breakout year last year, but I'm not buying on him. Huge this year. He dropped a lot of balls in the red zone. You got Randall Cobb, who's aging. I don't know. I'm not saying that Jeff Janis is going to be a top 30 receiver, but I think he has the most likelihood of doing it. So my opinion, my answer, Jeff Janis. What about you, Carl?
I was so certain we were going to be similar again, but for me, it has to be one of the Chargers wide receivers, whoever is viewed as the fourth one. If we have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Dontrell Inman, and Tyrell Williams, one of them has to be the fourth guy, and all of them are pretty good. So if we have two guys who are injured at the moment, we don't know what Keenan Allen is doing, I think one of Dontrell Inman or Tyrell Williams will finish in the top 25.
That's hilarious because
I really like your take on Jeff Janis, and it's kind of similar with Jordy Nelson, Keenan Allen, both have injury.
I agree, and yeah, I mean they're both.
He can be a sleeper
right,
for Dallas.
Right. I like. I almost put Travis Benjamin on my list, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, so we aren't agreeing on everything. But yeah, and it's the same thing. Keenan Allen, too much injury risk. And San Diego again. I'm going to get down to San Diego with actually our next question, but I am liking. They're primed for good year this year, and I like their wide receiver 4. It's a great answer. Let's go to number 6. Is Phillip Rivers primed to be a top 5 quarterback at the end of 2017? Carl, go ahead.
Quick answer, no. No, but for me, it doesn't even crack top 10. There's just too much talent in front of him, even with all the pass catches he got. But for top 5 finish, I don't see him getting Brady, Rodgers, Luck, Brees, or Ryan. I don't know who he takes out then. Then you can add Winston, Wilson, Prescott, Cousins, Tyrod Taylor, and Cam Newton. It's just too much talent in front of him. I don't see it happening.
Now we're starting to disagree. I like it. All right, so for me, quick answer, hell yes. Phillip Rivers is going to be the 5th quarterback in the year. I mean, that's top 5. I'm not saying he's going to be better than Brady, Brees, Rodgers. And then it gets tough with Luck or Ryan. Ryan's not going to repeat his year last year. That's an almost guarantee in my mind. Ryan has always been the guy to disappoint. Last year, he finally didn't disappoint, but now Shanahan's gone. He set career highs and everything. Luck hasn't thrown the ball yet this year. I mean, if we're just assuming that his perfect NFL skills, which he has, is just going to come out of, just come right back to him, I don't know. I just am not buying either of them. I do have Luck finish him at number 4, but I got Rivers at number 5, and the reason being he has all the weapons in the world. If the injury bug doesn't hit Allen, which, yes, is very unlikely, and he probably will get hurt, if it doesn't, add him with the first-round pick of Mike Williams, plus Tyrell Williams, Dontrell Inman, Travis Benjamin. That receiving corp is nasty. Then you got the new kid on the block, Hunter Henry. You even said could be a top 10 tight end. Plus you have the wily veteran Antonio Gates, who, in my opinion, is going to catch 6 or 7 touchdowns this year. I mean, Antonio Gates is the favorite weapon for Rivers. I don't care if Gates is 55 years old. They'll be trotting him out there, and he's going to be finding him in the end zone. Plus, to add on to the tight ends and the receivers, they have a phenomenal pass-catching running back in Melvin Gordon and a defense that's still trying to find its own way. So, in my opinion, I get a lot of high-scoring games from the Los Angeles Chargers. I have a quarterback that has a huge NFL IQ and weapons all around him just to keep them in the game. I'm predicting Rivers to go 4,400-plus yards, 35-plus touchdowns, and to get his interceptions back down to where it normally is, around 15 to 18 range. In my opinion, number 5 quarterback, Phillip Rivers.
Could be argued for. I'm gonna have some numbers for Rivers in 2 weeks, and we'll compare our predictions for him then.
Yes, that's going to be a fun one. I'm excited for that. Let's go to number 7. We're starting to get to our everyday 10 in the head questions here. As always, number 7, what's one bold fantasy football prediction for 2017? I'm gonna take the lead because I'm going to parlay my San Diego Phillip Rivers onto this one. And I'm saying Melvin Gordon finishes as the top 3 running back at the end of 2017. He's got high-scoring games, as I mentioned. And he's a back who can catch the ball, which is great for PPR, and he can run after the catch. 10 touchdowns was only a starting point for this kid. I guarantee it. He's got a great passing game, and that's going to lead to a great rushing game, and it's vice versa. And now I'm not going to say whether it's DJ, Bell, or Zeke that's going to be out of the top 3. In my opinion, it will be Zeke. But that's another 10 in the head question for another day. I'm just going with my one bold prediction. Melvin Gordon finishes the top 3 running back in 2017. Carl, go ahead.
For me, it's Lamar Miller. I think he will finish as a top 8 running back, not top 3. That's a little bit too steep for me, but I see him passing a bunch of guys. I have him landing at number 9 or so, 9, 10. So I think 8 is a little bold since he finished 16 last year. But his one-game ceiling is 19 points, while his game floor is 4.4. With his current ADP, that is a clear-cut number 1 guy. And I feel like he can have a bounce-back season.
I love Lamar Miller. I think he's a solid. I mean, if I'm not scared about Foreman, I'm not too scared about Alfred Blue. I feel like Miller's going to be the workhorse. Watson's a better quarterback than Osweiler. So is Savage. I don't care who starts at quarterback there. Both of them will help the rushing game, especially if it's Watson, because in my opinion, he can kind of spread the defenses out even more with his legs, and that's just going to make Miller even better. I like that pick. Lamar Miller's.
He's this year's Melvin Gordon.
Ooh, that's it.
Back second year.
Right.
On a new team.
Right. I love it. That's a good one. Let's go number 8, and it's a toss-up. Number 8, Martavis Bryant versus Michael Crabtree. Carl, take the lead on this one.
Michael Crabtree. My score projection has him at least 20 points ahead of Bryant right now. He's also a safer bet to play 16 games that has his ADP is a little bit lower, but still.
Man, I don't even know what I'm supposed to say here. Michael Crabtree. He's a safer bet to play 16 games. I'm not buying Martavis Bryant to come back from a year off in the hard-nosed NFL and play 16 games. Crabtree's a playmaker. I mean, there's not as many options in Oakland, in my opinion. Ben's going to be throwing to Bell. He's going to be throwing to the rookie Juju Smith-Schuster. He's going to be throwing to AB, obviously. Even Eli Rogers, who was, in my opinion, is maybe a wide receiver 4 that could be a top 30 wide receiver. There's just more options in Pittsburgh. So I'm giving Crabtree. He also one thing that Crabtree does need to do, though, is he needs to get his drops, he needs to stop dropping balls. He led the league last year with 9. And if he can just reduce that to 4, I think that's better.
Matter that much.
No.
He's still a red zone threat.
Yeah.
And with the amount of targets he gets, he can drop a few balls. I'm okay with it. With that ADP.
Right on.
In fact, though, Martavis Bryant, his old high school team is the only high school game I've been to in my entire life. He didn't play, but it's his old Anderson TL Hanna team, which is pretty crazy as a Swedish guy.
That is crazy. That's hilarious. That's awesome. That's a quick little fun fact right there for Carl Dunger. There we go. Let's go to number 9. Toss up again. Marvin Jones, Quincy Enunwa. I'm going to take the lead on this. Marvin Jones all day. The reason is I mentioned him on my sleeper episode of 10 in the Head a couple episodes before. He has all the confidence from Matt Stafford. He produced solid numbers with an unhealthy body last year. He worked all through the offseason on his route running and getting his legs stronger. And Detroit lost Anquan Bolden. There's 8 touchdowns to be added somewhere. I have a feeling that most of them will go to Marvin Jones if he stays healthy. Watch out for what he did in the first 3 weeks of last year to be a 16-game slew of them this year. Marvin Jones. Carl?
I'm sorry for not creating more controversy in this episode, but yeah, it's not even a competition for me. The numbers are just stacked against Enunwa, with Jones having just better ceiling, better floor, ADP 10-9 spots ahead for Jones, so it doesn't really matter. I'm easily going Jones over Enunwa, even though he might be a wide receiver 1, he's still on the Jets. Marvin Jones.
Yep. And hey, no worries, man. When two people are the same, I absolutely love it because we're thinking on the same page. Marvin Jones over Quincy Enunwa. Like you said, Enunwa's on the Jets. They're going to throw the ball and he's going to get his targets, but if he's going to get double covered, spare me on Enunwa and let me go with my last pick of my draft and kind of look at like Robbie Anderson, Ardarius Stewart, a couple other options I would prefer than spending a 10th or 11th round pick on Quincy Enunwa. So Marvin Jones. Let's go to number 10, Carl. This is a great episode. We're kind of flying through it, and I absolutely love it. As always, our number 10 is our late round flyer. And Carl, why don't you tell me your late round flyer?
Speaking of someone that you can pick up late and take a shot at, Terrance West is my late round flyer. I have him as a crazy amount of carries at the early 4 games of the season. And the projected targets are just way too good to be true. His overall ADP is right now 146. And with a massive workload, he has a one-game ceiling of 12.7 points and 1.3 points in floor. That is similar to guys like Derrick Henry and Carlos Hyde and Bilal Powell in ceiling. So nothing too fancy with the right amount of carries. I think you can get 4 solid weeks from him at the start of the season.
I love it, especially with Dixon being out the first 4 games. Yeah, it's just going to give West the chance to just solidify himself as the number 1 back. Dixon might not even get a chance to be a starter. I mean, people lose their jobs due to injuries and due to suspensions all the time. West is going to be given the chance. He better take advantage. And I've been loving drafting Terrance West. That's a running back 1 for the first 4 weeks of a season that you can get almost dead last in your draft.
It's crazy the amount of value that you can potentially get from him right now.
Exactly. I will gladly take a running back 1. That's why I've mentioned earlier, I'm all about getting just the volume, the steady volume, the safer pick. And in my opinion, he's a safe pick, at least for the first 4 weeks. And after 4 weeks, hey, we'll go from there. But I'm going to get to my late round flyer. And it's funny that you did Terrance West because I'm sticking with Baltimore and I'm saying Mike Wallace, wide receiver. I just wrote an article for BreakingFootball.com that'll be published soon. And I'm going to highlight a few notes on him. Now, he's finished as a wide receiver 28 or higher in every year of his career, of his 8-year career, other than 2015, his one and only year with Minnesota, with a inexperienced quarterback, a ground and pound game, a very tough defense. They played a game-managing type of football to win their games and get to the playoffs, and kind of left Mike Wallace stranded on an island. And I'm okay with that because then he goes to Baltimore and is a sneaky 1,000-yard receiver, 4 touchdowns, finishes as wide receiver 24, I'm pretty sure, last year, wide receiver 2. He's being drafted as the 51st wide receiver, according to FantasyFootball.com. That's a wide receiver 5. And if you're telling me that a guy that has finished as a high wide receiver 3 or better in every single year but 1 of his 8-year career, he's now going as a wide receiver 5, I think just some people are getting scared because of the questionable additions that they brought in, and Danny Woodhead, Jeremy Maclin, hurt, injured, old for both of them. If they stay healthy, yeah, that might take away some targets from Wallace. But I'm just saying, Wallace as a wide receiver 5 is a little crazy to me. I'll surely be drafting him and waiting for him to catch 900 yards, 6 or 7 touchdowns, and be my wide receiver 4.
Love it.
All right, that is 10 in the head. 10 questions. It was a freaking pleasure to have you on, Carl. Carl, if anyone wants to go find your work, where do they find you at?
They can go to csdfantasy.com for numbers based on university statistics, or at my Twitter at QALLED, where I post daily charts and numbers, all from the website, or go to my YouTube channel, CSD Fantasy, where I post 1 video a week with score projections for specific teams and 2 episodes every week during the season.
I love it. I believe me, I follow him. I subscribe to him. I check out his website. You all need to do the same. It's just fun watching what he does. His projections are great, and we are very one and the same, it seems like, and it definitely seems even more like that after doing this episode. So I love it. I recommend everyone to follow him. If you're trying to follow 10 in the Head, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. 10 in the Head. It's a great episode, or a great show. We're going to be trying to do 2 episodes a week through July, and then 3 episodes a week or more starting in August all the way through December. If you don't like YouTube, that's fine. Go to Twitter. You can find me at Nick Faber 1229. Again, that's Nick Faber 1229. I'm always posting my episodes talking about fantasy football, talking about my trip here in Spain that's coming to a close. But if you don't like Twitter, that's fine with me. Go to Facebook, facebook.com/10inthehead. Follow, like us. You'll get updates on the show. Thanks again for listening. It's been great having Carl on. I can't wait. Hopefully we'll be able to have him back throughout the season. And thank you all for listening. Have a great one, guys.